In today's video, we're going to be talking about the tropics, where we do have Tropical Storm Felipe out there still. We also have another large disturbance that does look to potentially develop. We do have a brand new disturbance in the Gulf of Mexico that we need to talk about. We will be going over the upcoming pattern as normal, but we're also going to dive into the month of October where things look really, really cold compared to normal, actually. So we're going to be taking a look at that. Before we dive into things, be sure to check out Prestige Weather in the description and pin comment down below. We do weekly consulting calls over there as well as other consulting services. But not only that, we do early access to all of our seasonal and monthly outlooks over there. We do have our third winter forecast on the way for Prestige Weather, and it will be exclusive there for multiple weeks. So be sure to check it out. It's only $5 a month in the description and the pinned comment down below. Let's dive into things, and as you can see, Tropical Storm Felipe, and this one is expected to remain at tropical storm status. As we mentioned yesterday, we still don't have any H's popping up there, which is indicative of a storm that's expected to stay relatively weak. Now, we don't see any northern or kind of western turns here, so it does look to just take that kind of northwesterly turn and continue on that trajectory. If anything, we can see between Friday and Saturday, it maybe takes a little bit of a more directly west turn, which is going to put Bahamas and the southeast coast and Bermuda on a little bit of a high alert for this storm. We will continue to track this one daily. I think this is going to be one that's going to be a little bit of a threat, but still look a little bit out to sea for a while, and we have to really hone that down to figure out exactly what's going to occur. Now, the Atlantic 7-day forecast here, overall, we do see Felipe out there, although we just talked about it. We can see this brand new Gulf disturbance does have a 10% chance of development over both the next 2 days and the next 7 days. So a relatively small chance, could increase over time. We're going to watch this one as well daily, but there's still just a lot that has to happen. Wouldn't be surprised to see it develop. Also wouldn't be surprised to see it completely dissipate here very shortly. So there is just any possibility with this one at this point. We can see that this one has gone from a code yellow 2 days ago to a code orange yesterday to now a code red today. So over the next 2 days, we have a 30% chance of development. But over the next 7, we have all the way up to now an 80% chance of development. So kind of as I predicted with this one, not to pat myself on the shoulders, but this one has just kind of steadily climbed in chance, and now it's looking more likely than not by far that this one is going to eventually develop into something and be a storm that we do need to track. So that is going to be interesting to watch with you guys as well over the coming days. As we dive into the upcoming pattern, I wish I could tell you that there's some very interesting things on the way, but there's really not, okay? So as we move towards later this afternoon, we can see not only that we have the northwest seeing a storm system here, we have the upper Midwest and northern plains dealing with some storminess, and then the deeper south as well. We're seeing some storms here. Over the mid-Atlantic and Northeast, we have some storms, and then over Florida, we also have some systems there. I know I just said it's going to be boring, but this is one of the more active days here. As we reach Tuesday, we can see that overall, if you take it east of the plains, so this line here, we do just have a couple of areas dealing with some storms, and that's going to be kind of in a stretch here from the Ohio Valley down into the mid-Atlantic. And then we have this stretch here for the deeper south into the southeast. And then we have this storm system still over the northwest, bringing some pretty persistent rainfall for states like California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and into Montana. As we reach Wednesday here on the 27th, what we see is a little bit of snowfall mixing in with this northwest system. Also for the Midwest into the Ohio Valley, we have some storms. And then for the deeper south, kind of greater Gulf Coast, we're seeing some thunderstorm activity there as well. As we reach Thursday, September 28th, what we see is this system is beginning to finally die off. We still see Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana dealing with some of these storms. And then this system here for the upper Midwest into the Ohio Valley, although it's mostly the Ohio Valley at this point, I will say. And then the Gulf Coast, we see that there is a lot of thunderstorm activity around for that pocket as well. Let's take this towards Friday, September 29th. And we have just some isolated and scattered about activity into the northwest, upper Midwest, and then again the Gulf Coast, and then up the East Coast a little bit, up the southeast into the mid-Atlantic. Let's just keep going, and by the time we reach Saturday, we see that this system out west is now becoming a pretty organized low pressure system. 999, we see pretty steady rainfall, and then some snowfall here for California, Nevada, Idaho, and into Montana. So some of those mountaintops beginning to finally see some snowfall. Let's keep going. And now as we reach October 1st, Sunday, we can see that there is plenty of storms around for the mountainous west. Still some snowfall there for the higher elevations. Very quiet in the east, though, outside of the very far down, deep southeast, as you can see, where Florida is continuing to see their typical thunderstorms there. As we reach Monday the 2nd, what we see is, again, some of this more just isolated and scattered about activity. We can see Texas and Florida still seeing a little bit of thunderstorms, but very, very quiet here. Tuesday, nothing even worth mentioning outside of Florida, where there's some heavier thunderstorms taking place. And then Wednesday, it's a lot of the same, although we do begin to see another storm system perhaps developing here along the west. But Canada is getting the brunt of that in western Canada. And then we see a little bit of some storms developing here across the upper Midwest and Great Lakes as well, perhaps. Total precipitation reflects all of this, and we see relatively low amounts outside of, again, Florida and then the Northwest here. And then the upper Midwest into the Ohio Valley, we do get that one storm. We continue to see that bring above average precipitation, but we do have a lot of drier areas in here where just over the next 10 days as a whole, it is going to be pretty darn quiet. As we take a look at the temperature pattern, we're going to dive into a longer range temperature pattern in just a little bit. We see cooler conditions prevailing along the east until we reach a certain point, and that point could be well into October here as we're reaching all the way into October 4th. What we see is a strong and healthy negative PNA, and that stands for Pacific North American Oscillation. This brings warmer temperatures up into the central and the eastern regions of both the United States and Canada. So definitely taking a look at some pretty significant negative PNA type impacts, and we continue to see that all the way through October 10th here. But what I'm going to show you in a minute is actually an extended outlook that's going to get us further, that shows perhaps the second half of October looks very, very cool compared to normal. So let's dive into that actually. Here's our CFS daily model. And as we take a look at the next week, here's what we're seeing. Again, warmth moving eastward. We do see that reach the east eventually, but we see cooler conditions from the 16th through the 23rd here of October. As you can see, pretty significant colder air taking place here, and perhaps a positive PNA taking place now. So again, you're going to draw that positive there. That is exactly what we end up seeing here according to this model. Now, as we reach the 23rd through about the 30th, we see a lot of the same, these cooler conditions hanging around the east. And I think it's important to note as well that for that time of year, that's going to look a lot different than earlier on in the year. So this is about a month from now, and our average temperatures will be about 5 to 10 degrees cooler. So when you add on the fact that this is showing below normal temperatures, we're talking about 60s and even 50s here, not 70s and upper 60s. So a pretty big difference in what we're expecting, and it could actually be like cold, if you know what I mean, like actually cold. Now, as we take a look at the 30th of October through the 6th of November, we actually continue to see this cooler pattern prevail in the east, warmer pattern out west overall. So perhaps that is going to be a very long-term pattern, is what I'm seeing this model in particular suggest. And that is just a suggestion, and models can of course be wrong. So we're going to track this with you guys through the coming months. We do upload every single day, so keep that in mind. So you can be sure to subscribe for those daily uploads. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload, so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.